In the first scene, Samuel Mullins, a dollmaker, creates his first limited edition doll. Samuel finds a note with the words "Find me later." He finds another one with a word "Closer." Samuel answers the note "Found you" and then leaves. After that, his daughter Annabelle emerges from her hiding place. Samuel appears unexpectedly from behind, surprising and tickling his daughter. The next day, on their way home from church, their car breaks down as he attempts to remove the tire. One of its bolts clatters and Annabelle dashes to collect it. However, she doesn't spot the approaching car, which hits Annabelle and kills her. 12 years later, Sister Charlotte and many other orphans arrive at Samuel's house. The girls leave the vehicle, but Janice, who has polio, takes her time looking around. Samuel greets them, and the girls are excited to tour their new home. Samuel prepared some rooms for the girls and a stair lift he built for his wife, which Janice can use. Janice tries it, and a white figure appears in the dark hallway. As she reaches the top of the stairs, it immediately flees before Janice notices it. Janice starts looking for a room to share with the other girls, but Nancy and Carol, the elder orphans, refuse to let her and Linda, the little one, stay with them. Janice looks for another room, but Samuel stops her before she can open the door to his dead daughter's room. Linda then invites her into their room, which features a bunk bed and dolls. Meanwhile, Sister Charlotte unpacks her belongings, and the lift behind her opens slightly. After feeling the breeze, she checks the insides and pulls down the wooden door. The door, however, opens again on its own. The girls ask Nancy for permission to play outside. However, Janice must stay inside owing to her infirmity and gets upset. Suddenly, Annabelle starts walking behind her back. When Janice turns around, she finds her crutch on the floor and is confused. Later that night, when everyone is sitting around the dining table, a bell rings. After saying grace, Samuel walks to his bedroom. Curious, Carol follows him, but Samuel shuts the door. Later that night, while Janice prepares to fall asleep, she hears footsteps at the door. She examines it and discovers a note with the words "Find me." She leaves their room and starts looking around. She finds another note with the message "Enter here." She walks into the room and finds a dollhouse that resembles the room she is in. Janice finds a key and uses it to open the closet. As she opens the door, Janice can't see a doll sitting on a chair. Scared, she closes the closet and returns to the dollhouse. However, the door unexpectedly opens. She closes it again and locks it, but the door reopens. Janice covers the doll and walks to the window. At that moment, the doll stands up on its own. Janice notices Samuel walking back to the house because he saw Janice in the room. The girl is about to leave, but she finds the cover doll in front of her. The doll starts strolling towards her, and its cover slowly falls to the floor. Eventually, the cover falls to the floor, revealing nothing beneath it. Janice swiftly leaves and returns to bed as the bedroom door closes on its own. Janice pretends to be asleep as she hears footsteps approaching. She inadvertently knocks down her crutch. Samuel, on the other hand, ignores it and leaves. The next day, Janice tells Sister Charlotte what happened last night. Sister Charlotte asks Janice to unpack 3 boxes for her penance after she apologizes for her wrongdoing. Meanwhile, Linda is playing hide and seek with the other girls. She hears a faint creaking behind her. She examines it and discovers a doll sitting in the shadows. Linda is curious, but something pulls the doll into the darkness. The girl mistakenly unlocks the door in shock, allowing her friends to find her later. Samuel fixes the draft and asks about the portrait on Sister Charlotte's bedside. She explains that it was taken in a convent in Romania. She had a strong bond with the 3 sisters in the photo. However, there is a nun whose face is hidden by the darkness of the tunnel, and she doesn't know who she is. Later that night, as everyone is sleeping, the 2 older girls play beneath a blanket and make fun of Samuel's wife. Suddenly, they hear the faint sound of the bell striking, and they start laughing. The bell, however, continues to ring. As the light goes out, the bell sounds harder, and they look to their side, seeing a creepy figure. As she approaches them slowly, the girls close their eyes. The figure disappears, but suddenly someone grabs Carol's face, and the 2 scream loudly. After that, the other girls turn on the lights, and Sister Charlotte enters the room. When Samuel arrives, the girls frantically reveal that they spotted his wife in their room. Samuel says that his wife has not walked for years and leaves. After hearing her ring the bell the next day, Sister Charlotte hears the bell ringing and enters the couple's bedroom. Since Samuel is not at home, she takes care of his wife. Janice walks into a room and listens in from the outside. The woman tells how her daughter Annabelle died at an early age, and Sister Charlotte consoles her. Janice turns to leave when she discovers a photo of Annabelle holding the doll in the closet and takes it with her later. As she tries to cover the photo, she notices Annabelle's glowing eyes. She hears music from Annabelle's room and walks in to switch it off. Linda enters the room and they start wandering around. Linda pulls out a toy gun and strikes the doll with the ball. A little later, they discover the doll facing them. Scared, Linda leaves the room, but Janice remains. She pokes around, and as she's reading what appears to be Annabelle's diary, the door slams shut. Then there are the puppets that wiggle. However, when Janice examines them, she finds that they were moving on their own. Janice observes someone by the window while inspecting the dollhouse. Annabelle screams in a demonic voice that she wants her soul. The demon clutches her leg. Janice manages to get out and walks toward her room. Janice uses the stair lift, but it stops midway and returns her upstairs. Suddenly, Janice is lifted into the air and falls to the basement floor. Janice is now completely unable to walk and has to use a wheelchair. She recounts to Sister Charlotte her encounter with a demon. Sister Charlotte assures her that she is just as strong as them. One night, Linda discovers the doll rocking itself in Annabelle's room. Linda opens the door only to discover that the doll is gone. Linda enters their room and fires the toy gun into the dark hallway. As she rolls the ball back, something in the dark grabs it and takes it away from her. When she hears the floorboard groan and footsteps approaching, she hides under the blanket. The lights go out and the bed starts rumbling. Linda glances down and discovers footsteps that lead to the bed below. Linda examines it through the crack and discovers an evil creature stealing the doll. Linda lies on her bed afraid until dawn comes. Meanwhile, Sister Charlotte leaves Janice outside for a moment to get some fresh air. Suddenly, the demon pushes Janice into the shed and locks her there. Following that, it ruins her wheelchair, and since she is unable to flee, the demon attacks her and vomits black bile directly into her mouth. The other girls and Sister Charlotte hear her screams. They dash to the shed and discover Janice, who is sitting in her wheelchair. Janice smiles at Sister Charlotte, assuring her that she is fine. Linda reveals to Samuel the next day that Janice had crept into Annabelle's room and found the doll. Samuel warns Janice to avoid the doll. He then enters the house while carrying the wooden crucifix. Samuel discovers the doll in the center, and when he approaches it, he finds a note on the table that reads, "Found you." Janice, who has gained the ability to walk due to demonic possession, enters the dining room. She changes into a monster and breaks Samuel's fingers one by one, compelling him to drop the crucifix. Sister Charlotte enters the house after hearing his screams and finds his lifeless body. Later, Linda carefully takes the doll and drops it into the well outside in the fields while everyone is sleeping. Sister Charlotte appears and tells her to go back to the house. Linda turns to leave, but she hears an audible mumbling from the well. She glances down, trying to figure out who it is, but it grabs her. Sister Charlotte rushes to save her and covers the well. The two dash back into the house. As the creature in the well tries to escape, when they return, they discover that the doll has returned to the house, but Janice has gone away. They take the doll to the couple's room and ask Samuel's wife for help. The wife admits that after Annabelle died, she and her husband prayed to whatever entity would grant their wish to see their daughter again. An unknown entity answered their police, and despite the fact that it began small and they only saw Annabelle briefly, they allowed her to move into the doll so she could be with them forever. Even if they couldn't hold her, just knowing and feeling her presence was enough. When she looked at the mirrors one night, she realized a devil was using Annabelle's soul. She entered Annabelle's chamber with a crucifix and a Bible, attempting to expel the evil from their home. However, the demon displays its actual form and assesses her eye. As a result, the wife now has a doll's mask on her left side. The church healed her soul, but the demon remained tied to the doll, so it was kept up in Annabelle's closet. They eventually opened their house as a sanctuary for orphans as their penance, but this allowed the devil to claim his soul back. In the present, the girls discovered Janice having a tea party with Annabelle's doll in her room. Janice turns around walking normally and tells them it's time to repent. Sister Charlotte hears their shouts as they go downstairs, and Nancy reveals that Janice sliced her arm. She instructs them to call for help while she runs upstairs. The girls hear the bell ringing from the couple's bedroom. After appealing for help, they enter the room in search of Samuel's wife, only to discover her slain and crucified. Meanwhile, Janice appears unexpectedly, preventing Sister Charlotte from leaving with Linda and the other girl's sister. Charlotte prays in the hopes of saving them from Janice. However, she is pulled from the floor and flung into the mirrors. The girls flee the bedroom in terror, but Linda trips and is dragged over the floor. Linda hides in Sister Charlotte's room, while the other girls try to start. Samuel's truck. Nancy notices the Scarecrow move on its own and then vanishes. The motor sputters. The girls dash to the shed, but the three of them linger outside, while Carol enters, having seen the Scarecrow inside. Carol tries to escape, but the door slams shut, keeping her inside. Carol observes the Scarecrow come to life as the demon manipulates it as two light bulbs unscrew themselves and fall to the ground. When she hears the bell softly ring, she quickly replaces the third light bulb in the lamp, followed by the demon breaking the light. Carol bears the agony of her fall from the ladder and flees through the workshop. Nancy tries to help her escape via the windows. Linda hides in the draft as Janice storms into the room, ending up in the couple's bedroom, where she discovers the wife's body on the floor. The body moves and creeps toward Linda, causing her to enter the draft and flee the room as the devil grabs the entire draft. Linda pulls herself up and clutches onto the rope. She departs in search of Sister Charlotte. Instead, she discovers Janice stabbing her doll. Linda hides in Annabelle's closet, terrified, but Janice finds her and plans to kill her. Sister Charlotte stops her holding the doll, and as Janice tries to grab it, she puts a rosary over her head and shoves her inside the closet with the doll. She then tips the glass cabinet in front of the closet, causing paranormal activity, as furniture and toys are scattered around. The two flee the house. They collide with the girls outdoors, and they all tremble in terror as the lights begin to explode. The doll is still in the closet when the cops arrive, but Janice has fled through a hole. After the priest blessed the doll in the house, the girls let the cops leave with it. Sister Charlotte and the girls leave with a priest looking for a new home to serve as their orphanage. Meanwhile, Janice, who is still possessed and secretive, has moved to a Santa Monica, California orphanage. Janice renames herself Annabelle and is adopted by the Higgins. She murders them 12 years later, forcing their neighbors to investigate. The film ends at the Carter Monastery in Romania when a nun walks through a room lit by candles that go out one by one as she passes. Make sure